David Harrison had spent countless New Year's Eves at glamorous parties, surrounded by hundreds of people, but none had ever felt as lonely as this one, sitting alone on a bench in Central Park, watching snow fall. At 38, David commanded, a media empire worth millions, but success had come at the cost of every meaningful relationship in his life. His ex-wife had left 2 years ago, taking their daughter across the country. His parents had passed away within months of each other. The previous year, leaving him with money but no family to spend holidays with. The city buzzed with celebration around him, couples walking hand in hand toward parties, families hurrying home to private festivities. David had received dozens of invitations to elegant gatherings, but the thought of making small talk while pretending to feel festive had driven him to seek solitude instead. That was when he noticed the little girl. She appeared to be about 6 years old, wearing a pink tulle dress under a gray cardigan that looked hand-knitted, with blonde curls escaping from beneath a small winter hat. She was walking with a woman who appeared to be her mother, both of them heading toward the park's exit. The little girl stopped suddenly and tugged on her mother's coat, pointing in David's direction. The woman looked over, and David saw her expression change from mild curiosity to concern. She appeared to be in her early 30s, with kind eyes and the sort of natural beauty that needed no enhancement. After a brief conversation that David could not hear, the little girl broke away from her mother and approached his bench with the fearless confidence that only children possessed. "Hello," she said, standing directly in front of him with her hands clasped behind her back. "You look very sad." David found himself smiling despite his mood. "Hello there. What makes you think I look sad?" The little girl tilted her head, studying his face with the serious attention she might give to an important puzzle. "Because you are sitting all alone on New Year's Eve, and your eyes look the same way mine do when I miss my daddy." The simple observation hit David with unexpected force. When was the last time someone had looked at him closely enough to see past his expensive clothes to his actual emotional state? "I am sorry you miss your daddy," David said gently. "Where is he?" The little girl's expression grew solemn. "He is in heaven now," she said with the matter-of-fact acceptance that children sometimes showed toward profound loss. "But Mama says he is watching over us, especially on special days like today." David felt his chest tighten with recognition of shared loss. "I am sorry, sweetheart, that must be very hard." "Sometimes," the little girl agreed, "but Mama says that families can grow in different ways, and that love does not disappear just because people go to different places." Before David could respond to this remarkable piece of wisdom, the woman approached with obvious concern. "Emma, sweetie, you cannot just walk up to strangers," she said, gently, though her tone held affection rather than true reproach. "I am so sorry," she added to David. "She has always been drawn to people who look like they need a friend." David stood up, noting that the woman was even prettier up close, with intelligent, hazel eyes and the kind of warm smile that suggested genuine kindness rather than social politeness. "I am David," he said, extending his hand. "And your daughter is absolutely right. I did need a friend tonight." The woman accepted his handshake with a firm grip. "I am Sarah Mitchell, and this is Emma. She has an uncanny ability to spot people who need cheering up." Emma looked between the two adults with the satisfaction of someone whose plan was proceeding perfectly. "Mama," she said, with the urgency of important news, "this man is all alone on New Year's Eve, just like we used to be before we had each other." Sarah's cheeks flushed slightly. "Emma lost her father 18 months ago," she explained to David. "We have learned to create our own traditions for holidays." David nodded, understanding the challenge of rebuilding life around absence. "I lost my parents this year," he said quietly. "Holidays feel different when the people who made them special are gone." Emma's face lit up with sudden inspiration. You can be in our family if you want, she announced with the generous spirit that seemed natural to her. We are going home to make hot chocolate and watch the fireworks on television. You could come with us, Emma, Sarah said quickly, her embarrassment obvious. We cannot just invite strangers to our home, but he is not a stranger anymore, Emma pointed out with 4-year-old. Logic, we know his name is David, and we know he needs a family for tonight. David looked at this remarkable child who had somehow identified his deepest need and offered a solution with breathtaking simplicity. That is very kind of you, Emma, he said, but your mama is right. That you should be careful about inviting people you do not know. Emma considered this seriously. Then we should get to know each other better, she decided. What is your favorite color? Blue, David replied, charmed, despite himself. Mine too, Emma said, with delight. What is your favorite food? Pizza, David answered. Emma clapped her hands together. Mine is pizza too, Mama. He likes the same things I do. That means he could definitely be in our family. Sarah looked at David with a mixture of amusement and mortification. I am so sorry, she said. She has been talking about wanting a bigger family, and apparently she has decided to recruit members herself. David found himself laughing for the first time in weeks. Emma has excellent instincts. He said, Your daughter is remarkable. The conversation that followed revealed that Sarah worked as a nurse at the children's hospital, that Emma attended kindergarten and loved art projects, and that they had been creating new traditions together. Since Emma's father had died in a workplace accident, when Emma repeated her invitation with the persistence that only children could manage, Sarah looked at David with careful consideration. You are welcome to join us, she said quietly. If you would genuinely like the company. We do not have anything fancy planned, just hot chocolate and staying up to watch the ball drop. David looked at this mother and daughter who had appeared in his life like an answer to loneliness he had been trying to ignore for months. He had been surrounded by people who wanted something from him, but here was a child offering inclusion simply because she thought he needed it. I would like that very much, he said. The evening that followed was unlike any David had experienced. Sarah's small apartment was warm and filled with Emma's artwork, family photos, and the comfortable disorder that suggested people who prioritized living over appearances. Emma insisted on showing David her room, her collection of stuffed animals, and the elaborate fort she had built in the living room for their New Year's celebration. She treated him like a beloved uncle rather than a stranger, including him in her routines with the natural acceptance that children showed toward people they had decided to trust. As midnight approached, and they watched the countdown on television, Emma settled between Sarah and David on the couch, a mug of hot chocolate in her small hands. Make a wish, she instructed David, as the final seconds ticked away. New Year's wishes are very powerful. David looked at this little girl who had transformed his loneliest night into something approaching joy, then at Sarah, whose quiet strength and kindness had made him feel welcomed rather than pitied. I wish, he said as the clock struck midnight. For more evenings exactly like this one, Emma beamed with satisfaction. I wished for the same thing, she announced. Then she hugged David with the fierce affection she might show a family member. And now you are officially part of our family. The relationship that developed over the following months surprised David with its naturalness. Sarah proved to be intelligent, compassionate, and refreshingly direct about her life and circumstances. Emma continued to treat David like a beloved family member, calling him to share important news from school and insisting he attend her art shows and school. Performances David found himself restructuring his schedule around their needs, not because he felt obligated, but because their happiness had become important to his own well-being. He helped Emma with school projects, took Sarah to dinner when she had difficult days at the hospital, and gradually became essential to their daily routines. When David finally told Sarah he loved her, it was 6 months later, On a summer evening when Emma had fallen asleep between them during a movie. "I know this started unconventionally," he said quietly. "I know there are considerations about how quickly things have developed, but Sarah, you and Emma have given me something I did not even know I was missing. You have given me a family." Sarah looked at this man who had become integral to their happiness. "I think Emma knew what she was doing that night in the park," she said softly. "She has always been good at seeing what people need." They married the following New Year's Eve, with Emma serving as flower girl in a ceremony that celebrated not just their love, but the family they had chosen to create together. As they danced at their reception, Emma tugged on David's sleeve. "You know what the best part is?" she whispered. "What is that, sweetheart?" David asked. "Now, when I make wishes, I do not have to wish for a bigger family anymore because we already have everything we need." David looked at his new wife and daughter, marveling at how a child's simple invitation had transformed three separate people dealing with loss into a family bound by choice and love. Sometimes the most beautiful beginnings start with the smallest acts of inclusion, when someone sees loneliness and responds not with pity but with the generous offer of belonging.